So Sunday. Yeah. Usually a day for rest, maybe catch up on things.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
But this past one, May 25th, 2025, felt anything but restful. A new report surfaced from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA.
Right.
And it's really, put a harsh spotlight on the India-Pakistan situation, already so tense.
Absolutely. It feels like it's intensified things, highlighting just how complex that relationship is. One wrong step feels, well, potentially catastrophic.
Exactly. And when you dig into this DIA report, what really jumps out is this core difference in perception, right?
Yeah, it's stark. The report says Pakistan essentially views India as an existential threat, like a threat to its very being.
Wow, existential.
Existential. Its main focus seems to be further east. It sees China as the primary rival, the main strategic challenge. Pakistan is a concern, definitely, but maybe it's secondary.
That contrast is just striking. Two neighbors looking at the world, at each other so differently.
It really is.
And to get why this report is hitting so hard, we need that context, don't we? The decades of rivalry since 47.
Oh, absolutely. It's a long, long history, packed with conflict, deep suspicion. It's all baked in.
Right, so that's what we want to do in this deep dive, Unpack this report.
Exactly. Let's try and understand these different threat views, what strategies they're leading to, and, what it all could mean for stability there.
Okay, let's start with Pakistan's view then. This existential threat idea from India.
Yeah.
That feels heavier than just, border tensions.
Oh, much heavier. It goes way beyond border skirmishes. It seems rooted in a fear of India's sheer size, its growing economy, its military expansion. There's this underlying worry, it seems, that India's long-term goals could just overwhelm Pakistan's security, its sovereignty. It colors everything they do strategically.
And a key part of their strategy, the report mentions, is modernizing their nukes, specifically developing battlefield nuclear weapons. What exactly are those? Are they different from the big ones?
They are different. Think smaller yield. Tactical nuclear weapons are sometimes called.
Tactical.
The idea isn't city destruction, like with strategic nukes. It's more about using them on a battlefield against, say, troop concentrations or military targets in an actual conflict.
So still nuclear, still terrifying, but designed for battlefield use.
Precisely. And the logic from Pakistan's perspective, according to the report, is that it counters India's bigger conventional army. More tanks, bigger air force,
Right. India has the edge conventionally.
They perceive a significant disadvantage there. So these battlefield nukes are seen as a way to sort of level the playing field, to make India think twice about any large-scale conventional attack because, well, it could escalate.
A deterrent, but a really dangerous one because it potentially lowers the nuclear threshold?
That's the major concern, yes. A very destabilizing dynamic.
Okay, let's flip the coin. India's perspective. The report says their main adversary is China. Pakistan is less of a primary focus. Why China?
Well, look at China's military buildup. It's massive across the board. Then there's its growing global influence, economic power.
And its actions in the region, like along the border, in the Indian Ocean.
Exactly. Things like building those artificial islands in the South China Sea. India sees that and worries about China's broader ambitions, how it impacts India's own standing. The border disputes are, of course, a constant source of tension, too.
And India's been responding. We've seen missile tests, naval developments.
Oh, definitely. Last year, 2024, they tested the Agni-I Prime and the Agni-V, both nuclear-capable missiles. That sends a strong message.
Right, bolstering their deterrent.
And they commissioned their second nuclear-powered submarine. That's huge. It gives them a full nuclear triad launch capability from land, air, and sea, primarily aimed at deterring China.
And it's not just about buying weapons off the shelf, is it? This made in India push in defense.
That's a really key part of their strategy now, trying to build up their own defense industry, reduce reliance on, say, Russia or France or Israel for arms.
Self-sufficiency, strategic autonomy.
Exactly. It gives them more flexibility long-term against threats from China, and yes, also Pakistan.
So you've got this real imbalance. Pakistan laser-focused on India, India looking mainly at China while still keeping an eye on Pakistan.
It's a classic asymmetry. Pakistan feels this immediate, intense pressure from India. India sees Pakistan as a serious issue, but maybe overshadowed by the larger, longer-term challenge from China.
And that difference in focus, that must make things difficult. Misunderstandings, miscalculations.
Absolutely. Pakistan's threat perception can lead to actions India might misread or vice versa. And with China in the mix, it gets even more complicated.
Let's talk about China's role then. Pakistan's all-weather friend. The report mentions significant Chinese support for Pakistan.
Yeah, and it's pretty specific. The DIA report suggests China is a key supplier for Pakistan's WMD program's weapons of mass destruction.
Wow. Directly.
Both directly, it seems, and through intermediaries, companies maybe in Hong Kong, Singapore, Turkey, the UAE, are mentioned as possible conduits. It's a deep, long-standing military and economic partnership.
We see that with things like CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor,
Yeah.
and those joint military drills.
Right. CPEC is a massive undertaking. And those joint exercises, like the Air Force One in November 2024, they show real military coordination. It's a vital relationship for Pakistan, gives them strategic depth, economic help, political backing against India.
But it hasn't been entirely smooth sailing recently. The report mentions attacks on Chinese workers in Pakistan.
That's a definite point of friction. There were deadly attacks in 2024, targeting Chinese nationals working on CPEC projects. 7 killed, I believe.
That must worry Beijing.
Undoubtedly. China's invested billions. They expect security for their people and their projects. So these attacks likely mean more pressure from Beijing on Islamabad to crack down, which adds complexity to the relationship.
Okay, let's zoom in on a flashpoint event. That awful terrorist attack in Pahalgam, April 2025.
A terrible incident. 26 tourists killed in Jammu and Kashmir. The resistance front, seen as a front for Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed it.
And the immediate reaction. Predictable, maybe.
Sadly, yes. India immediately blamed Pakistan, accusing them of harboring the terrorists. Pakistan denied it flat out, even suggesting India staged it, which there's no evidence for that claim.
Just deepen the mistrust.
Completely. And India didn't stop at words this time. Operation Sindoor followed.
Right. Tell us about that.
On May 7th, India launched strikes. Targeted 9 locations, they said, inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir, hit suspected Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba sites.
And Pakistan's response.
They tried to retaliate, apparently targeting Indian military sites near Adhampur and Chandigarh, but reports indicate India's air defenses intercepted those attempts. It was a major escalation, direct military strikes.
And around then, Pakistan's defense minister, Khwaja Asif, was talking about credible intelligence of a bigger Indian attack coming.
He was. In late April, he claimed they had intel about a large-scale Indian strike being planned. That strike didn't happen, but the claim itself just ramped up the tension.
Didn't he also give that Sky News interview around then? Made some interesting comments.
He did. He actually acknowledged Pakistan's past role in supporting militants while allied with the U.S. Then he issued that stark warning, an all-out war if India launched a full-scale attack, and a reminder about their nuclear capability.
Very pointed.
Extremely. And then after days of these cross-border strikes, missiles, drones, things seemed to calm down around May 10th. A ceasefire understanding, the report calls it.
But maybe not really an understanding. Different interpretations.
Yes, that highlights the trust deficit. Pakistan's Minister Asif talked about it like a chance for peace, maybe something more formal. India's view, though, seems to have been more like, oh, okay, let's just cool it down for now. A tactical de-escalation, not necessarily a lasting agreement. Very different takes.
And hanging over absolutely everything is the nuclear factor. Both sides have them.
It's the ultimate danger. The report mentioning Pakistan's battlefield nukes, India's triad, it just hammers home how high the stakes are. Any conventional fight has this terrifying possibility of escalating.
We even had Pakistan's ambassador to Russia, in Bali, making pretty direct statements.
Yes, in early May, Mohammad Khalid Jamali told RT News that Pakistan would use its full spectrum of power, including nuclear if attacked, or, interestingly, if its water supply was threatened.
Water. That brings us to another flashpoint, the Indus Waters Treaty.
Historically, that treaty from 1960 has been remarkably resilient. It survived wars.
Yeah, it's often cited as a success story in cooperation.
But after Pahalgam, India reportedly suspended the treaty meetings. Pakistan's reaction was immediate and strong. They called it an act of war.
An act of war over water treaty talks.
It shows how sensitive the issue is. Minister Asif warned about strikes if India actually blocked the rivers. For Pakistan, the Indus is vital. Agriculture, economy. It touches those deep existential fears again.
So, nuclear powers, direct military clashes, terrorism accusations, and now a potential water conflict brewing. You'd think the world would be stepping in forcefully.
Well, the global reaction seems somewhat muted, compared to past crises anyway.
Really? Why do you think that is?
It's hard to say definitively. The U.S. urged de-escalation. Secretary Rubio was apparently making calls. But it doesn't feel like that intense, high-level mediation we saw during, say, the Kargil War with Bill Clinton.
Hmm. Less focus.
Could be global attention is just stretched thin with other crises, or maybe a feeling that external leverage is limited here. But that lack of strong international engagement, it's potentially worrying. It removes a safety net if things really spiral.
Before we wrap up, just quickly, how solid is this information, the DIA report itself, the events described?
The DIA report is a credible U.S. intelligence document. The core events, Pakistan's threat view, India's China focus, the WMD procurement details, the Pahalgam attack, Operation Sindoor, the IWT suspension, they're corroborated by multiple news reports from reliable sources over the past months.
Okay.
Of course, intelligence assessments sometimes lean towards worst-case scenarios. That claim by Pakistan about an imminent large Indian strike in April, for example, didn't actually happen, so context is important.
Right. So pulling it all together, what this report really shows is a situation that's incredibly dangerous. You have Pakistan feeling threatened, developing tactical nukes. India focused on China, building its own advanced capabilities.
A fundamental mismatch in perspective.
Add China's backing for Pakistan, the recent flare-up after Pahalgam, the nuclear shadow always present, and now this water issue.
It's a complex, volatile mix. Deep mistrust, high stakes, nuclear weapons. It's a flashpoint that demands constant attention. Miscalculation is a huge risk.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the tipping point? What could push this over the edge? Or, maybe more hopefully, what could actually lead to some kind of lasting de-escalation, some path towards stability?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? It feels like we're watching a continuous drama unfold, and the next act is, well, still unwritten. The potential consequences, though, are enormous, not just for the region, but globally.
Definitely something we'll need to keep watching closely, a very precarious situation.